Facing challenges conceiving? Experience compassionate care from leading fertility experts at Pinnacle Fertility, Ohio. Your dedicated navigator is a call or text away for concierge support throughout your journey. Start your path to parenthood at rgiohio.com.
I'm Allie. My fertility journey ended with me not having children. So I got married when I was 30 years old and started trying, almost right away, naturally, the old-fashioned way, and it just wasn't happening. So I went into other options. I saw an acupuncturist. He gave me herbs. I started seeing my doctor. We did some testing. My husband had to go in and have his sample specimen tested. And really it was unexplained and there was no answers that anyone could give me. And so the next step is IUI, which I'm sure a lot of people have been through. And I can vividly remember being at the doctor's office, getting inseminated while on my BlackBerry. That's how long ago it was. On my BlackBerry, laying on my back, answering emails as I was hopefully getting pregnant in that moment. We tried that 3 times. And the next step was, IVF. We were sitting across from our fertility doctor and, she was very direct. You're in your 30s. There's not much time left. It's time to start with the next step. We have to start with the medications, the egg retrieval, start thinking about implantation. And I just at that moment just paused and I didn't think I could do it. It was something in me that just said, I don't know if I'm really prepared mentally or in the right headspace to really think about doing that. And so I said to her, I think I need to think about it. And she said, there's no time. You need to do it as soon as possible. And so I remember my husband and I left and we saw each other in the parking lot. We were going our separate ways to our offices. And I looked at him and I said, I don't know that I can do this or make this decision right now. Long story short, we didn't decide to go that route. I couldn't do it. I had spoken to too many people who had done it, who said to me things like, I don't know if I would have done this if I knew how hard it was, or this was really detrimental to my marriage, or now I have these embryos and I don't know what to do with them because I had a baby or twins and I don't know what to do now with these embryos. And it was a really awful feeling for them. And so at the time, that time in my life and what my mental state was and what was going on around me, I just didn't think that I could do that. And the whole fertility process and trying to get pregnant and the timed intercourse and all that stuff was not doing wonders for our relationship at all. And so I just really decided to protect that relationship and work on that as opposed to continuing to push us forward. Because really my husband left it up to me. It was really my decision. And we decided to just see what would happen naturally. And then I think the culminating moment was I was with my grandmother. She was dying and I was having some last moments with her. And she looked at me and said, just enjoy your life. Enjoy your life. Don't think about what you don't have. Think about what you do have. Think about the life that you can enjoy right now. And I just, in that moment, decided I was just going to figure out what my purpose was and find a way to just enjoy what I had. And that's what I've been doing ever since. This journey was really difficult for me personally. I had always dreamt of becoming pregnant and being a mom, and I was throwing my entire self into it at the expense of my mental health. Our relationship suffered. So and there was lots of other things going on with me personally, but I was going to therapy every week to sort of grapple with what was coming up for me. And then at the same time, my husband and I were seeing a therapist because the pressure being placed on us to, go through these treatments or schedule sex with each other, that that was really wreaking havoc on our relationship. And I was not my best self during that time. I treated my husband terribly and, you know, said things like, all you have to do is have sex. Like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you just perform when I need you to? Really just awful things. And it really hurt him and it hurt our relationship. And I would say it's still something we have to overcome in terms of our intimacy and how comfortable we are in those moments, because it was such a traumatic thing for us. I think going to therapy together and working through those moments with someone that could help us communicate more effectively was really helpful in us remaining married through that time. You know, now we're 20 years married, but at the time we got married when we were 30. That was very early on in our relationship, very early days to be putting that much pressure on us. So it really impacted me, myself and my own mental health, but also our relationship as well. I think there's a lot of pressure being placed on women, and I certainly felt the pressure or the questions would inevitably come up. Why don't you have children? What's up with that? I remember being in my mid-30s in New York City, trying to build my career at my company. I was finally with these executives, and we were out after work and having a few beers, and the question comes up, hey, Allie, how long have you been married? Oh, why don't you have kids? And I, being an open book type of person, I said, well, we tried, it didn't happen. We've gone through some infertility treatments, but, right now we're just going to see what happens and give myself a break from all of that. And his response to me was, well, you must not have tried hard enough. And that felt like a punch to the gut, honestly. It was, I didn't have a witty comeback for him at the time. I just kind of shrunk into myself and made myself smaller and tried to change the conversation. But that judgment that I felt, and then the resulting feelings of, not being good enough, being inferior, being less of a woman, was really overwhelming in that moment. If it was today, I would probably say, because I knew him and I knew he had a daughter. I'd probably say something like, would you say something like that to your daughter if she was struggling right now? It's a really cruel thing for you to say, and it's actually none of your business. That's what I would have said. But I just didn't say anything. Actually, the man who was with me another man said to me, would you like to leave? And I said, yes. One of the biggest things that happened during that time was that obviously when you're married, you're going to get questions about when you're going to have kids. And I had lots of well-intentioned people sending me books about infertility or recommending therapies or, pushing me to do IVF. You can do it. Just go for it. Save the money. And I know it was all coming from a good place. I think this is so hard for me to say because I am such an open book and I'll tell anyone anything about my life. I think I would have kept more quiet about what was happening and really kept it between Joe and I and really answered more in the, I really would rather not talk about it. It's something Joe and I are working through together, and I would just appreciate giving me some space. I really wish I had held it more sacred and not made it such an open thing, because it just invites more commentary and invites more well-intentioned advice that I didn't really need and felt overwhelming. And I think I would have been more private about it. One of my biggest regrets during the journey is really abandoning the care for my relationship with my husband in the quest to get pregnant of a child. I really let my focus on our relationship go, and the relationship paid the price for it. At the end of the day, even if you go through this struggle and you end up getting pregnant and having a baby, you still have to have a relationship with that person and raise that child together and then have a life after that child inevitably has their own life. So I wish I hadn't sacrificed so much of our relationship in this quest of getting pregnant. But it took a really big toll. The positive outcome of me and Joe making this decision to pause everything around the infertility process and just live our lives is that I've really found a lot of joy and fulfillment out of being a really special and present aunt and chosen aunt by my friends and family. I have such special relationships with the young people and children in my life, and I've derived so much fulfillment out of it. And my sister always tells me that I'm a spiritual mother, that it's something that I was really born to do, but I get to share that with so many other children than just my own. And I don't know, the other day I was meditating on it, and I just felt so at peace with how my life has turned out and how much I'm enjoying that role. It's a really fun role to be like a fairy godmother and dip in and provide experiences and trips and things and time and attention to all these important children in my life, my friends' children, my sister's children. And it's meant the world to me, and I'm really fulfilled by it. And it really makes me happy to play that role.